Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. I have a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen, but before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, first time here, never ever seen any of my NBA lineup advice videos, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the DFS Zone community is to become a subscriber down below. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put on your post notifications. This way you don't miss out on any of my NBA lineup advice videos. With that being said, today is Wednesday, January the 2nd, 2019. All right. I want to wish everybody, I hope everybody had a great new year. I want to wish you guys a happy, prosperous, and a healthy one. And let's go out there and try to make some money. And it starts with today. I didn't do a video yesterday, so I'm ready to go. Let's dive right in. We have a 9-game slate in the association. We're going to start right at the top at point guard. At point guard today, I'm not looking at paying up at point guard today. I think that it's an opportunity. I do like two guys really a lot today. I like Anthony Davis today. If he comes back from injury and he is eligible to play, I definitely love him in his matchup against Brooklyn. And I'm willing to pay up for Paul George today at that $10,000 price tag. So I think those are the two studs I'm looking at. You can go studs and scrubs today. I definitely can see where I can get 3 good quality top tier players and be able to still get enough because there is some value today. I think the value, obviously, there's some value at point guard, which I'm going to touch upon now, and there's some value in some other areas as well. But at point guard today, again, the one guy that really stands out to me at the top that I would not mind paying for, and I will have some exposure to, not a whole lot, but I will have him in some of my lineups, and it's going to be Kemba Walker, obviously at home. We always love Kemba at home. He's going up against Dallas, and with no Jeremy Lamb, who's been ruled out, definitely got to love Kemba Walker even more so. So the opportunity is there for him to really do a whole lot. Dallas is coming in here 11th in defending point guards, and they've been giving up 36 fantasy points per game as of late to opposing point guards. He is 9,400. Hefty price tag. You need about 47 to meet value. I think he can get you there today, and he's at 9K on DK, so you need 45 there. So if you're not on Kemba Walker, like I said, I will have exposure to him. I'm always going to give you options here. He's not my top guy here today. I'm willing to pay down. With Kyrie Irving, as you can see here, it says game time decision. I already got notification prior to starting the video that he is going to be out today. So definitely like Terry Rozier, and Rozier is the one guy that I will have a lot of exposure to today. On top of that, you also see Derrick Rose and Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague has been ruled out. Just recently, right now, I got notification that Derrick Rose is also out today. So that definitely still leaves room for Tyus Jones. But Tyus Jones' price has been getting up there because he's been just playing so wonderfully, and rightfully so. His price has moved up, but he should be someone you definitely got to consider. And, of course, you also have to consider Thomas Satoransky still at 6,200 in today's matchup because there's no John Wall. But I'm coming down, man. I really do like I said, I really do like a couple of guys that you can get a little bit cheaper price tag today. I do like Alfred Payton. If we know that he's going to get more than 24 minutes, he got 24 minutes in his first game back the other night. If he's going to play 30 minutes or better, I really do love him here against Brooklyn. You know, he will be a nice play against Brooklyn. Brooklyn's coming in here 18th in defending. If we go over here to the point guards and let's look at Mr. Payton. Yes, Brooklyn's coming in here 18th defending point guards, and they have been allowing 31.3 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards as of late. In a back-to-back scenario against Kemba Walker, they gave him 45 on one night and 53 in the next night. And he has had a 28 spot last year against Brooklyn. Actually, last game against Brooklyn, he did play earlier this year before he got injured, which was on October the 26th. He put up a 28 spot in 38 minutes, so nearly close to a fantasy point per minute. And then, obviously, prior to that last year, in his last game against them last year, at an $8,000 price tag, he put up a 38 spot. So he is priced really good here on Fanduel at only 5,600. So Alfred Payton, 5,600, definitely someone I do like here in this matchup, and he's 5,300 on DK. We can't go through a whole lot of numbers with him because, as you can see, he has not played since way early on in the year. But we know he is capable of getting you 40 or 45 or better on a good given night. And I do like him in this matchup against Brooklyn. I think this is one of those nights. If he can get 30 minutes or better, I think he'll be able to get us 7 to 8x. I would definitely think he can get you 7 or 8x. So Alfred Payton is one of my favorite plays. My other favorite plays obviously is Terry Rozier. You got to have exposure to Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is only 4,300 here on FanDuel. and he is priced up quite a bit. He's $1,000 more on DK, so I don't recommend him on DK, but if you can get him in there, sure, why not? Get him in a lineup or two, no doubt about it. Get Terry Rozier in there. But on FanDuel, he is priced very, very well. 4,300. We know he's going to get a bump in minutes. Without a Kyrie Irving, we know he's going to get the start, and we know he's going to play at least 28 minutes or better in this matchup today. And he's going up against Minnesota. When he does play and he gets more than enough minutes, he definitely makes it pan out for people. As you can see, he played 20 minutes the other night, 27, pretty much a 28 spot. Here, 25 minutes, a 30 spot. Here, 23 minutes on a 20 spot. Here, 24 minutes, 30 spot. 31 minutes here, 32 spot. It goes on and on. He is pretty solid. If he plays 25 to 26 minutes or better, he is capable of getting you 1 fantasy point per minute, as well as he is capable of getting you 45 plus. He has shown it over and over again when he's had opportunity to play. So Terry Rozier is definitely someone I'm considering. And when you look at Terry Rozier, he's going up against Minnesota. They're 7th in defending point guards, and 7th defending point guards, and allowing 33.4 fantasy points per game over the last 5 games. They did up 52 to Connolly, 53 to Harden over the course of the 2 of the top guys over the last 4 or 5 games. So Terry Rozier, obviously got to take advantage of the price tag and the amount of minutes he's going to get. That's more or less the whole idea here, is the value aspect of it. So Mr. Rozier is in play. Other than Mr. Terry Rozier, you do have guys like, you got to watch out, Jeremy Lin in a matchup against Washington, paced up game. He will get more than enough minutes. He could be someone you can consider. Devontae Graham here. Obviously, Mr. Graham isn't definitely in play. He started the last game for Jeremy Lamb. He's not Jeremy Lamb as far as defensively, but he's been able to put up decent numbers. He's going to be a nice price tag here for a value player at 3,900. So if you consider him here on FanDuel, 3,900 on DK, he is 3,400. So respectable in both aspects. Only need 15 to as much as 19 fantasy points from him. If he starts, he's someone definitely you got to consider in replacement of Jeremy Lamb. Also in the shooting guard spot, we'll get to that. You're going to have to obviously have some exposure also to Malik Monk for the Charlotte Hornets. Other than that, I'm not looking at anybody else here. I think those are the ones that I like best. If you're not looking to pay for Kimba at the top, then I would say, like I said, the guys that I'm looking at are Tyus Jones. You could consider Satoransky for sure. Alfred Payne, I definitely love if he's going to get 24 or more. And my top guy would be Terry Rozier today. Okay. Other than that, Devontae Graham. All right. Let's go over to shooting guard. At shooting guard at the top, you got Bradley Beal. He's not a bad play at all going up in a paced-up game. He plays excellent at home. We know he is the go-to guy for Washington. I'm going to have some exposure to him. I think his price tag is a little bit up for today, considering that I could pay down in this position and be able to get almost equal value as far as fantasy points. That's what I'm looking at least in my opinion. So Bradley Beal at 9,800, you need 48, almost 50 from him. Not that he cannot light it up and just get you 55, 60 today, because he can against an Atlanta team without no Ken Bazemore, who is probably one of their better defenders. I don't think Kevin Huerter is going to be able to stop him. So he's in a great spot. I will sprinkle him in my quarter GPPs. You know, I don't think I'm going to have a whole lot of him in my main tournaments, especially like this one, 5K for first here. I don't know so much if I'm going to put a whole lot of him in these lineups, but Bradley Beal is definitely someone you got to consider. Other than him, if I'm going to pay down, I like Luka Doncic. I mean, he's going to be the rookie sensation going up against Charlotte for the first time. No Jeremy Lamb. We know that Luka's been playing the 3 and Wesley Matthews is playing the 2. But if Jeremy Lamb was playing today, I think he would have been more so on Doncic than he would have been on Wesley Matthews. So this may be where you could pay for Doncic or you could pay for Wesley Matthews. It all depends on who's going to obviously defend Doncic, but I like the kid, man. 7,800. I think that he could be a very sneaky play here against Charlotte, especially without no Jeremy Lamb. So Doncic is someone that I'm definitely considering. I mean, 7,800. I'm going to pencil him in here, but there's a couple other guys that I do like. But as you see, 7,800, you need pretty much about 38 to me value, and he's been pretty good, man. 36 or better in 4 straight games. He had 4 out of his last 5 games, and he has 50-point upside. We know that. We know that he's going to get more than enough minutes. Let me find the young man here. Shooting guard, Mr. Doncic. As we know, he's under the shooting guard, but we know he does a lot more for Dallas than that. And the minutes are there for him. Usage rate is just through the roof, 30% or better over the last 3 games. And then look at the shots. He's getting 16, 17 a game on average. He's taking threes. We've gone through this over and over again. He's a very big part of their offense as a rookie, as a 19-year-old. And he also can rebound. He also can give you some assists. He turns over the ball quite a bit, especially as of late, almost 14 turnovers in the last 3 games. That definitely hurts our fantasy point totals. Didn't quite make it all up through the steals, but he is a decent defender, can get us some steals and the occasional block. And again, he's going up against a team here without Jeremy Lamb in Charlotte. They're 22nd defending shooting guards. They have only been allowing 18.8 fantasy points per game. And again, that's due to Jeremy Lamb being a pretty good defender and also not facing really top tier players. The last time they gave anything up big was Mr. Bradley Beal, 46 points, and that was 4 games ago. That was like 4 games back. Other than that, I haven't really faced anybody who can put up some serious big numbers. So I think this is going to be definitely a tough matchup for Charlotte to try to cover Luka Doncic. So I like Luka Doncic. If you're not looking to pay up for Luka Doncic or Bradley Beal, I do think that you got to consider here at the bottom level here. I kind of like Dennis Schroeder here as well against the Lakers. Lakers paced up game, OKC. Dennis Schroeder, 5,100 is still fairly cheap. You only need 25 from him. He's getting more than enough minutes to cover that price, and has 35, almost 40-point upside. We know he's been able to get 40 or better in other games throughout his career, so we know he's capable of scoring. This is not a bad spot for Dennis Schroeder. Not at all. Going against L.A., he's going to go up to get with Josh Hart, and then thinking Josh Hart is 6,500 or 6,600 right now. He's 5,100. I'd rather pay down and save those $1,300 or so and pay down for Dennis Schroeder, who can definitely get you what you need at 28. He has 28 fantasy points per game, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists pretty much. You need 25 from him here. And on DK, he is 5,400, so he's $300 more expensive there. You need about 26 fantasy points there, maybe 27. We come and take a look at him over here, Mr. Schroeder. And again, 3 games he had 30 or better, so 3 out of his last 4 games he's at 30 or better, which is definitely above his price tag and above his average. And look at the shots, man. 14, 19, and 18 during that 3-game stretch in the last 3 games, taking a couple of threes, about 6, pretty much 7 a game over the last 3 games. And he brings some rebound, he brings the assists. He's capable of getting a block, an occasional block, and he is capable of getting steals on a regular basis. He's been averaging pretty much 1 steal a game, double-digit scoring. He's been getting it done, man. So he's definitely someone to consider. Malik Monk is another guy you can consider in his lower price range. Obviously, with Jeremy Lamb out, he comes off the bench. He may start. There's been times that he has started, but they did start Graham the last time around, so I can still see Malik Monk getting a bump in minutes, but he'll come off the bench as the 6th man, and he comes in there, and he's like almost instant offense. He right away is one of these guys that likes to score, so 4,600 for him is not a bad price tag for him. He's 3,600. At 4,600, you need 23 from him, and he's 3,600 on DK. You only need 15, 16 fantasy points to meet value. I think he could definitely get you that. So definitely a nice play on DK. We go to small forward. A small forward, I already told you. Let me put here point guard. Like I said, I do like Terry Rozier, so we're going to pencil him in there. Terry Rozier. And you're going to see that you're going to have more than enough money here left over. And then I'm going to pay up here at small forward because not a lot of guys I like a small forward other than Paul George. And he's 10,000, and I think he can get me 50 or better easily. I'm a GPP player, so I want him to get me at least 58. I want at least 8 to 10 fantasy points or more. And we know that he has upside to get you 60 or better. So good matchup against the Lakers, a team that people were rumored that he wanted to go to, and then he didn't actually go to them. He's still with OKC. So another reason why maybe he'll be a little pumped up today. No LeBron James. Definitely like the matchup that he's going to get with Brandon Ingram. So Paul George is definitely someone that I want to consider here. Paul George, you need 50, like I said, pretty much to meet that price tag. He's averaging 26 points, pretty much 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 48 fantasy points per game. At 10, you need 50. And on DK, he is 9,200, so you need 46 to meet value there. And he's been at 40 or better at 2 straight games, but look back before that, 52, 49, 83, 62, 45, 56. He was pretty much at 52 or better in about 5 or 6 straight games, pretty much more or less. So he is capable of getting you 60. We know that he's going to get tons of minutes. We know that he is the second go-to guy on this team. Look at these numbers here. Look at the minutes, over 36, 37 minutes on average per game as of late. Look at the usage, pretty much at about 30% or better on average. And look at the massive amount of shots. Now, he had a poor shooting night the last time he was out. He still put up 40 fantasy points, 7 of 21 and 2 of 6 is a poor shooting night. Gets to the free throw line, can get you some rebounds, a few assists here and there, but he brings the defense. 4 steals, 2, 3, 2, 5 over the last 5 games. You know, granted, he's had a little bit of foul trouble that's cost him a few minutes. But other than that, he's been really spectacular. And he hasn't let me down yet this year, so I don't expect him to tonight. So Paul George in play for me going up against L.A. Versus L.A., actually, I forgot to tell you, he's done okay. 47 and 40 last year, so pretty much like a 43 average in his last 2 games. And again, LA is 28th right now with no LeBron James. Definitely opens up the doors even more so for him. They're 20th in defending small forwards. They've been giving up only 25.4 fantasy points per game as of late, but they did give up 44 and 24 back-to-back games to Iman Shumpert, so they did give him 44. Tavares Harris put up 25, and Kevin Durant put up 42. And those 3 games that I just mentioned, those 3 players, the last 3 games were all defended by Brandon Ingram due to the fact that LeBron James is out. And pretty much, man, that's where I'm at, man. I really do like this matchup for Paul George. So we're going to go with Paul George there. Other guys you can consider, if you're coming down here, you got to consider Justice Winslow at 7,100. He's been playing really, really well. His price tag is getting up there. I mean, it's pretty pricey, but he is facing Cleveland. Cleveland is coming in 19th in defending small forwards, and they're 21st in defending point guards. And the reason I give you both is because he's basically been playing the point guard position for the Miami Heat. So it's important that you get both just in case. Now, I know he can play the 3, and he will play that on occasion, but since Dragic has been out, he has been the point guard. He has had 31 fantasy points or better in 4 straight games, and he's averaging 27.7 fantasy points per game versus Cleveland has been giving up 27.7 fantasy points per game to small forwards, and 40.6 fantasy points per game to point guards. So if he's playing the point, which he is, I do love his odds going up against Colin Sexton here with that Cleveland giving up almost 41 fantasy points per game. Versus Cleveland, again, like I said, he already has played him 1 time already this year. He put up a 51 spot. Justice Winslow, let's just double check. It actually is right there. It was just a couple of days ago. There goes a 51 spot, and his price just jumped up to $600 more since that price tag of $6,500. He had an awesome night as he put up 11 rebounds, 7 assists. He had 2 steals in that game, and he had 11 of 21 shooting, pretty much shot 50% from the floor. Didn't hit a 3, but we know he's capable of hitting some 3s. So Justice Winslow is definitely someone you can consider. Another guy you got to consider today, if you're not on Justice Winslow, Trevor Ariza is getting more than enough minutes in Washington, 6,600. His price tag is going up too. He's 5,900 on DK. Atlanta's coming in here 21st in defending small forwards. They've been allowing 26 fantasy points per game. They did give to C.D. Osman 33 and Robert Covington 51. Those are the last 2 opponents they have had back-to-back. He did play against Atlanta already too, and he put up a 51 spot against them. So that's another reason why I'm giving you him as an option, because he already has done well. Here it goes right here. 38 minutes, 19, 8, 4, and 6 steals with 1 turnover, 51.6 fantasy points last time out against Atlanta. So Ariza is definitely someone to consider. And if you're not, Otto Porter Jr. may be back. If he is back, that's going to hurt Ariza, obviously. So we got to monitor that. So keep that in mind. But I'm just giving you options. Obviously, Trevor Ariza will be someone you got to consider. If Otto Porter is out, it could be a possibility they could have Ariza still play the 3 and move Otto Porter to power forward in the 4 spot and not utilize so much Jeff Green. Then you got Jeff Green down here. You got to keep him in mind because when Otto Porter's been out and Markieff Morris has been out, he's been playing pretty much the 4 and getting more time on the floor in the 4 spot or in the 3 with Ariza playing the 3. So you got to keep both of those guys in mind. So, I want to make sure that I cover those guys. Other than those 2 guys, you come down here, Damari Carroll with Allen Crabbe out. He's been getting a lot more minutes. So he's someone to consider at 5,100. You only need 25 to meet value. He's going up against New Orleans. They're 13th in defending small forwards. They're allowing 29.2 fantasy points per game. And in the last 2 games, they gave up 36 to Covington and 35 to Harrison Barnes. So again, Carroll, who can get hot even from 3 and from the perimeter, could be someone you can consider here at 5,100. You only need 25. And you got another guy, Nicholas Batum here, obviously with the loss of Jeremy Lamb. He gets a little bump in minutes. I think it's more better opportunity with Devontae Graham and Malik Monk, but you could definitely consider Nicholas Batum as possibly someone. I mean, at 4,500, he is very, very cheap. His price tag for the amount of minutes that he has been playing as of late, he could be someone you can consider. He's going up against Dallas. And look at the minutes as of late, 26 and 36 and 28 and 43. So a little choppy, but he has been playing more than enough minutes, and he's been at least producing in the 20-point range. He's averaging 22. So at this price tag, you need 22, 23. It's just about right. And he has 35, 40-point upside. So Batum could be someone to consider there. Definitely got to always consider Etuan Moore for the amount of minutes he plays, 4,300 there. He's definitely someone to consider. And I think that I covered everybody that I wanted to cover here at small forward. Let's go to power forward. At power forward, as you guys already know, I'm going to pencil him in there. I do want Anthony Davis in my lineup. If he is a go, he's 100%, and he is locked in to play today, I am definitely going to have some Anthony Davis. And if you're not willing to pay up for Anthony Davis, then there are going to be some other options that I think you can go to. But Anthony Davis is in play for me, 12,700. You need pretty much, at that price tag, you need about 63, 64, which is a big number, but we know he's capable of getting 60 or better any given night. He's put up 80s. He's put up 70s. He's been rock solid for this team when he is not bumming out on an injury. So as long as he is feeling good and there's no issues. Granted, I did have him in a few lineups the other night when he played, and I ended up losing out. It's quite all right, man. You just gotta keep moving. We just gotta keep it moving. With Anthony Davis, those things can't happen. So let's just always keep that in mind. I think most of us who have played DFS long enough know what Anthony Davis can do at the last moment as far as starting games. But nonetheless, man, when he's on there and he's playing well, he is definitely solid. So I definitely like a little bit of Anthony Davis today. 28 points, 13 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 61.8 fantasy points per game, pretty much 62 fantasy points per game. And at that price tag, like I said, 63. He's 11,008 on DK. You need about 58 there. We go over here to the cruncher, and we know that he is capable of everything else. The scoring is there. The minutes are there, over 35 minutes per game. The usage rate is going to be sky high, 29, 30% or better. And look at the shots. He's taking, easily 20 to 21 shots per game on average, maybe even 22. He'll take an occasional couple of threes. He's not really that efficient from there, but he'll get those. And, of course, he gets to the foul line. He's not a bad free throw shooter, and he brings the other things to the table, all the rebounding, and he's capable of getting steals and blocks. And look at this, how consistent he is there. He gets a lot of fantasy point totals for us because of this. 3 steals, 1 block, 2 and 2, 1 and 1, 2 and 4. I mean, it goes on and on. He is consistent in making sure that he defends and makes things difficult for opposition. So going up against Brooklyn, we know Brooklyn, Hollis Jefferson is not going to stop Anthony Davis. Okay, hands down. Damari Carroll, none of these guys are going to be able to do it. So 21st defending power forwards coming in. They have given up 30.3 fantasy points per game, the Nets, as of late. They did give up 69 to Giannis, 37 to Marvin Williams, and 34 to Thaddeus Young over the last 5 games. Those are the top 3 guys. He did play Brooklyn. He has played Brooklyn in the last few games. He has just totally lit them up. Look at this, 65 earlier this year on October the 26th, 91 last year, and 69 in the 2 matchups last year against this opposition. So 3 games, he's been at 60 fantasy points or better. So, yes, I think that he has a great chance, especially against Jared Allen, to be able to do well. So no Hollis Jefferson, no Jared Allen. I don't think any of these guys are going to be able to stop Anthony Davis. So Anthony Davis is definitely someone that I do love here today. Other than Anthony Davis, if you're not looking to pay up for Anthony Davis, obviously you got to consider Kyle Kuzma with no LeBron James. He's been pretty much the second leading scorer for this team majority of the year until Brandon Ingram came back. So you could also consider Ingram if you wanted to, but Kyle Kuzma, is definitely someone you got to consider. Is going up against OKC. They're 18th in defending power forwards, allowing nearly 29 fantasy points per game as of late. He has actually also been shooting very, very well at home. So considering he's at home, you kind of like that. They're going in. He's played 35. He has had 35 plus in 3 straight games. And his last game against OKC, he did put up a 38.8 fantasy point total, which is pretty much 39 fantasy points. So you got it like that at 7,004 and 7,005 respectively on both platforms. You need pretty much 37. I think he is someone you can consider. Other than that, I do like Lauri Markkanen a little bit here, but he has to deal with Aaron Gordon. So a tough matchup for both of these guys. Wendell Carter Jr. could be an option. If there's no Vucevic in the Orlando game, then that means Orlando will go with Bamba, and Bamba is playing. Wendell Carter, as we all know, he's here as a power forward on Fanduel. He plays the 5 pretty much for Chicago, and he's done fairly well there because they try to stretch it out into a very, athletic team. That'll leave them more athletic well with Bamba. But I kind of like Wendell Carter here, and I also kind of like Bamba against him. So either or, you're going to get an advantage here. You want to go Wendell Carter, 6,500, you can go there. Orlando's 27th in defending power forwards and centers, 26 fantasy points per game as of late. And he's 6,500 here and 5,500 on DK. So you need 27 on DK and 32 here respectively. I think he's a better deal on DK, getting that 27 fantasy points. He's $1,000 cheaper. So Wendell Carter Jr. is an option. I do love Jeremy Grant. I did say that I loved him the other day, and I chose him as one of my guys. And I do still like him in this matchup against the Lakers at 5,800. Jeremy Lamb is someone you got to consider here. 5,800, you need 28, and on DK, he's 5,300, you need 26. The Lakers come in here 28th in defending power forwards, and they've been allowing 30.4 fantasy points per game. And on top of that, Jeremy Grant plays just as good on the road as he is at home. He's averaging 52% field goal percentage and 42% from 3, slightly a lot better three-point shooter on the road than he is at home. And he's averaging 25 fantasy points per game on the road, which is pretty much his average. And at 58, you basically, like I said, you need 27, 28 fantasy points. So he's about just right, and he has 35-point upside. So he can get you 35, even as high as 40 on some nights. As you can see, 32, 36, 39. 3 out of his last 4 games, he's at 32 or better. So he's actually trending upward. So Jeremy Grant is definitely someone to consider. Then, of course, with no Markieff Morris, like I already told you, no Markieff Morris for Washington, you got to consider Jeff Green. But then we got to monitor the situation with Otto Porter. Other than that, I am not too high on anybody else, man, to be totally honest with you. You know, Bam Adebayo and Kelly Olynyk could be possible plays here. They're both fairly cheap, 42 and 40. The thing is, it's just you don't know whom to choose out of these two guys because they kind of go in little streaks where Bam is playing well and Spoelstra is keeping him in there and he's getting to 30, 35 fantasy points. And then there's some time like right now, Kelly Olynyk is now getting the minutes and Bam is not getting as many minutes, and he's playing fairly well. So take your pick. I think either one of those in a matchup against Cleveland is definitely an option for sure. Other than that, Maxi Kleber gets more than enough minutes at 38, fantasy 3,800. Dario Saric here, Minnesota. There is, I think I forgot to mention, there is no Robert Covington. So Robert Covington is out. That opens up the doors. I forgot to mention that to you guys at small forward. Covington out, obviously that opens the doors for Andrew Wiggins to move to the 3, which he has done a couple of times this year. So Wiggins will probably go to the 3, get a bump in minutes and usage for sure. And then you got to kind of consider Josh Okogie for Minnesota in that point. But if not, you could also consider Dario Saric if they decide to go with Saric at the 3. They could possibly go that route with Wiggins at the 2 and use Josh Okogie off the bench. So it's tough to say, but if I'm the coach, I'll probably go with Wiggins and then use Okogie as 2 and be a little bit more quicker than with Dario. But Dario is definitely dangerous from the 3-point stripe. So Dario Saric could be someone to consider there also. And that's basically it. That's where I'm looking at. All right, at center, there is options at center too as far as, savings. I mean, obviously, if you want to go to the top tier, Embiid and Towns are definitely hands-on, the best 2 there tonight, no doubt about it. I will probably have exposure to one of the 2. I think I'm going to probably lean towards Towns a little bit more against Boston, but I definitely think that Embiid is in a good spot as well with Phoenix. I don't know. I'm willing to pay down at center today, but I will have a lineup where I will pay up at center. So I don't know whom I'm going to go with, but both of them are in good spots. This is something to watch out here for. Vucevic, if he is out, then obviously Bam comes into play, and that's gonna save a whole lot of money. It's gonna open up a whole lot of opportunity for us to get 3 studs in here, because then you can definitely go and pay down for Bam, who Bam is only 4,100. Okay, Bam is only 4,100. Mo Bamba, Bam, I call him Bam, but Bamba is only 4,100. You only need 20 from him, so he's in a good spot. Okay, that's only if Vucevic is out. He is definitely someone you got to consider. On the top tier, like I said, Embiid or Towns, Other than that, I'm not willing to come anywhere near any of these guys. I do like Bryant and Jordan here. They're my two favorite plays here. Bryant going up against Atlanta, and Mr. DeAndre Jordan going up against Charlotte with no Cody Zeller, who's been a pretty good defender. He's going to go up against Willie Hernangomez. And then you could definitely make lineups with Willie Hernangomez because he's going to be probably one of the higher owned centers today because of the value. I mean, you got to take advantage of his price tag. His price tag is absolutely great on DK. Willie Hernangomez, you must play him on DK. If you play on DK, he's only 3,800, folks. They only need 18 fantasy points from Willie. He's going to get a bump in minutes, and he's a good 1 fantasy point per minute player. Here on Fanduel, he is 5,400, so you need 26, 27 to meet value. It's definitely a tougher task for him. He's capable of getting it because he's going to get minutes today, and he's also in a matchup with DeAndre Jordan, who's not the greatest defender, but he's not that bad. But again, I do like DeAndre Jordan. So again, these are my two favorite, DeAndre Jordan and Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant going up against Atlanta. They're 30th in defending centers, allowing 34.5 fantasy points per game as of late. They gave up 46 to 61 to Nance and 69 to Karl Anthony Towns. Last 2 games against these guys, he's put up 36 plus. And he did put a 34 spot versus Atlanta on December the 5th. So he has already had a little bit of success at 6,600 here on FanDuel. You need 33. He is definitely priced up high. I love his price on DK, 4,700. So it is Bryant. If it's not Bryant for you at that value on DK, folks, then you got to come down to Willie Hernangomez. And if you're playing multiple lineups, I recommend sprinkle a little bit of Mr. Bryant in one and a few lineups. And if you're doing 3 or 4 more, sprinkle in some Willie Hernangomez and definitely mix and match. And not only that, I think you could probably get both of them as power forward and center eligible on DK. So you can actually play them both if you wanted to really open up some value there for yourselves. You can go that route as well. DeAndre Jordan would be the other guy that I definitely would consider here. 6,700, you need 33 on DK. He is 6,500, you need 32. He's averaging 33 fantasy points per game on the road, which is fantastic. He's going up against Charlotte. They are 12th in defending centers. And let's take a look at him here, Mr. Jordan. And the only reason I really like his matchup, not one, his price is under 7,000, which is considered a little cheap for him for the rebounding he can get for you. But 2, he's going up against a team that their best defender, center, Cody Zeller, who's been doing very well defensively, is now not on the court today. So you got to take advantage of Willie Hernangomez, who now all of a sudden has got to play a bunch of minutes, but going up against a guy who's a little more seasoned. So DeAndre Jordan, I definitely like in this matchup. 42, 37, 37, pretty much 37 or better in 3 out of his last 4 games. We know he's going to get the minutes. He doesn't take a ton of shots because he gets to the foul line. He's pretty decent from there, and what he does best is rebound, and he gets the defensive rebounds, like the defensive fantasy point totals like steals and blocks. 6, 7 blocks over his last 4 games. So he has an opportunity to do that again against Hernangomez tonight. So DeAndre Jordan is definitely someone I do like at 6,700. His last 3 games against Charlotte has only been averaging only 32, so that's a little concerning for me. 32, 32, 32 in 33, 36, and 31 minutes. But again, you know, we don't get a whole lot of scoring from him. We're going to get basically the rebounding and the defense. So if we're able to get that, that'll be great. But again, at 6,700, I think he's a fine play. I do like Thomas Bryant better than him, than DeAndre Jordan. But I think both of them are guys you can definitely target today. And as well as, like I said, Willie Hernangomez, you got to consider as well as Mr. Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba, if I can find him here. Yeah, Mo Bamba here is 4,100. If there's no Vucevic, got to sprinkle in a little more. So there is some value possibilities and some good solid plays here at center where you could pay up for Anthony Davis or Paul George or anybody else, or Bradley Beal, whatever you want to do. Like I said, I will have exposure to those guys as well. All right, so I'm gonna lock in here Thomas Bryant. And that leaves me with 4,600, and there's enough value to be able to get some solid plays in each one of these positions. And again, some of my lineups, I'm going to take him out of there. I'm going to put Mo in there if there's no Vucevic. You know, you got to just stay on top of if Anthony Davis doesn't play, then you got to move on. You got to go to Kyle Kuzma or someone like that. And that's basically where I'm at. That's where I'm at, ladies and gentlemen. So again, man, I wish you guys a lot of luck. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And again, I wish you guys a lot of luck. And I'll see you guys on the next video tomorrow.